Stephanie White, the Fever coach, stood up for her team.
Indiana Fever went down in a hard-fought.
I thought she got fouled, and I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim, and the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
WNBA referees definitely have an agenda against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever.
The refereeing, we know it was terrible.
The referees completely just ruined the game, bro.
Something outrageous just happened. In a game that should have been a statement win for the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark was once again robbed. And this time, her own coach, Stephanie White, had enough.
Many fans blaming the referees for their horrible officiating at the end of the game. Coach Stephanie White continues to play Caitlin off the ball, and it seems like she starts playing Caitlin off the ball when Caitlin is getting face guarded or when the defense is becoming more physical with her.
She didn't hold back. She openly called out the referees for the blatant disrespect and exposed exactly how Clark is being targeted.
The blatant disrespect in this footage right here, bro. That is a WNBA referee turning his back to Caitlin Clark and the Fever.
From ignored fouls to game-deciding no calls, the agenda is undeniable, and it's all caught on camera. This is bigger than bad officiating. This is a pattern, and the silence is over. If you're 100% for Caitlin, drop a 100% for Caitlin in the comments right now, because the world needs to hear us loud and clear.
She's a leader of this team.
When a head coach steps up to a microphone and dares to publicly challenge the officiating in a professional league, you know something serious is going on, and that's exactly what happened.
One of the worst referee games I've ever seen down the stretch.
Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White didn't mince words. She called it egregious, and she meant it. Her exact words after the game say it all. A -31 free throw discrepancy. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable.
I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A -31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing, that it doesn't go both ways, or it hasn't gone both ways. But we also can't allow that to consume us, right? Like, we've got to be able to play through that. We've got to be able to control the things that we can control. I felt like at times our late game execution was good, and I consider most of the latter half of the fourth quarter, because it was a tight ball game. We're still not recognizing our mismatches. I felt like AB had plenty of opportunities. We could have gotten her touches down low, and we had some turnovers, key turnovers. We settled at times. We fought, but we can't dig ourselves a hole from the beginning.
She demanded respect, and she blasted the refs.
She went further, noting that the Fever weren't just jacking up threes, they were attacking the rim. So why weren't they getting the calls? Why was the whistle swallowed every time Caitlin Clark drove to the basket or got body checked coming off a screen? This wasn't frustration, it was a boiling point. Stephanie White, who's typically measured in her comments, finally voiced what fans, analysts, and even players have been seeing all season. Caitlin Clark is the target.
One of the weirdest, I'm not even going to say it was badly refereed until down the stretch, but it was one of the worst refereed game.
Whether it's a missed foul at the buzzer, hand checks ignored throughout the game, or the cold shoulder she receives from officials even after the game ends, the message is loud and clear. She's being singled out, and not in a good way.
So many levels, WNBA referees has cost Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever nearly a perfect record, bro.
But here's where it gets even more damning. White wasn't just venting. She backed up her statements with cold facts. Over the last few games, Indiana has seen a free throw discrepancy of more than 31 attempts. That's not a coincidence. That's a statistical red flag waving in the face of league integrity. And when Clark is the face of the league, drawing massive crowds, lifting viewership, and bringing mainstream attention to the WNBA,
Caitlin Clark got hacked in the last 2.9 seconds of the game. Caitlin Clark was hacked. No call. Should have been 3 free throws.
Doesn't get a whistle here.
See, if the referees get the call right, it's a totally different outcome.
This kind of treatment isn't just unfair, it's unprofessional. Stephanie White made it crystal clear, this is a pattern of disrespect. By calling it out, White did more than stand up for her team. She stood up for her star. For a rookie who's already shouldering the weight of the league, Clark needed this moment. And finally, her coach had her back.
I've seen referees be talking to coaches and then mid-conversation, just when they know they're in the wrong, mid-conversation just turn around and start ignoring players.
If Stephanie White's words set off the alarm, then the game footage is the smoke billowing out of the building. The evidence isn't subtle. It's right there in plain sight for anyone watching. And it paints a disturbing picture. Caitlin Clark is being targeted, and the referees are either ignoring it or worse, enabling it.
The referees just exposed their hand so bad, bro. I mean, they just didn't care no more. They didn't care. The world was watching how bad the cause was. They didn't care at all. They was going to get their issue off against the Fever.
Let's start with the end of the most recent game against the New York Liberty. It's the closing seconds. Clark, the Fever's last hope, comes off a screen trying to get open for a game-tying shot. She's met by Natasha Cloud, who doesn't just defend. She grabs, pushes, and hand checks her all over the court.
But this is what happened. Look, you see that grab there? That's a foul, guys. See that grab there? That's a foul, guys. That's reaching in, guys. Reaching in.
There are clear screenshots and slow-motion clips showing Cloud's hand on Clark's hip, her arm, even across her stomach. Contact after contact, and not a single whistle. The play ends with Clark getting the shot blocked, but what it really ended with was another opportunity stolen. And here's where it gets worse. Fans noticed something chilling. After the game, Clark and Sophie Cunningham both approached the referees to question the no calls. The officials, they turned their backs, literally.
Clark and Sophie are both running up to the referee here. They are both so upset, and the referee is just walking away from them. He won't even look at them in the face. He keeps turning. Like, Sophie even went up at one point and is like tapping on his arm. He would not even look at them. The referee should have enough confidence in the calls that they made to at least discuss. You should be able to at least discuss something with the players.
Not one of them made eye contact. Not one acknowledged them. One even walked away as Clark tapped his arm in an attempt to speak. It wasn't just a bad call, it was blatant disrespect. This isn't a one-time occurrence, it's become a pattern.
Look, this proves they can play with the New York Liberty, okay? There were still times where Caitlin Clark played off the ball too much again in this game.
In multiple games this season, Clark has taken hits to the face, been shoved off her spot, dragged down off ball, and the whistle remains silent. Let's be honest, if this were another rookie or even a veteran without Clark's spotlight, maybe the league could brush it off. But Caitlin Clark isn't just any player. She's the reason millions are tuning in. She's the one packing arenas, selling out road games, and elevating the WNBA to heights it hasn't seen in decades. So when Clark is repeatedly denied basic foul calls that other players routinely get, it's not just unfair, it's suspicious.
Yeah, and that's probably what's frustrating about it too. It's like we are 2 possessions from being 4-0, but there was so many little areas in this game that we could have improved. Like our defense again to start the game was poor. And we got to find a way to come out with more energy, be able to guard. And yes, they present a very tough challenge when all 5 of them can make threes and they're setting inverted ball screens, things like that. It's a challenge, but you got to find a way to do it if you want to win. If you want to win in this league, you got to find a way to guard. You got to find a way to get stops. But I think you take that as a positive. You go back, you learn, but also we are 2 possessions away from being 4-0, and a possession away from beating Liberty here. So it definitely stings, but this is what's going to make us better.
Even inside the game, things get stranger. Stephanie White has been criticized for sometimes playing Caitlin Clark off the ball. Why? Because defenses are so aggressive and physical that Clark is being face guarded nearly every possession. Instead of empowering her with the ball in her hands, she's often being neutralized, and even then, still targeted. When the Fever finally did let Clark run the offense again in the second half, she erupted, draining back-to-back threes, including a buzzer beater from the logo.
This was like a buzzer beater 3-pointer from the logo that really got the crowd going.
The momentum completely shifted. So what happened next? The officials took it back. Questionable fouls on clean defensive plays, including one that led to the Liberty going up by 2 in the final seconds. Then, on the next possession, Clark drives, creates an open shot for her teammate, who gets clearly fouled, but again, no whistle. And let's not forget the numbers. The free throw disparity in these games has been shocking. In the Liberty game, New York shot 32 free throws to Indiana's 15.
The New York Liberty did not have a great game either. Sabrina Ionescu, her shooting was very inefficient. You know, looking at the box score here, Sabrina did come away with 23 points. That's good. But she shot 8 for 20 in the field and 2 for 8 at the 3. Brianna Stewart, she tried for 4 3-pointers, didn't make any of them. She went 4 for 11 from the field. And you know who did stand out though? Was Tosh Cloud, who went 6 for 9 from the field and 2 for 5 from the.
That's more than double. And yet it was Indiana who was attacking the paint, drawing contact, driving through bodies. But it seems like every bump against Clark is clean, while every flick from the Fever is a foul. Why? It's not hard to connect the dots. Clark is a disruptive force, not just on the court, but to the established pecking order in the WNBA. She's a new face, a fresh voice, and a magnet for media. That rubs some people the wrong way. And whether it's intentional or not, the officiating has become a weapon used to contain her. Opposing players know they can rough her up and get away with it. The league knows and still stays silent. The refs know and still ignore her. This is no longer about a missed call here or there. This is a systematic pattern of treatment that's trying to dim the brightest star in the league. But the fans see it, the coaches see it, and Caitlin Clark, she's still standing tall, still putting up numbers, still fighting through hits, still lifting her team. But how much longer can this continue before the league itself suffers the consequences?
Was horrendous. These WNBA referees need to be fined. Something needs to happen. I mean, the lack of calls against the New York Liberties was at an all-time high.
It's sometimes misunderstood that referees make those decisions about the style of play and interpretations of the rules. It's not true. It actually happens. We have a competition committee for stakeholders, coaches, governors, and general managers, and that competition committee is the committee that dictates the state of the game.
The referees may have ignored Caitlin Clark, but the fans didn't. And now the backlash is exploding across social media, sports shows, YouTube, and even mainstream media. What was once whispers about unfair treatment has turned into a full-blown outcry, and people everywhere are demanding answers. Let's start with the content creators, the lifeblood of fan-driven coverage. From respected analysts to passionate influencers, the message is unified. Caitlin Clark is being disrespected by referees, and it's starting to look intentional. One creator compared the officiating to YMCA-level referees, flat out calling for the WNBA to bring in NBA-level officials just to restore some credibility. Others have literally paused their regular content to rally support for Clark.
Yeah, when it comes to accepting, it's like we don't really have a choice because they're going to call what they want to call. And so for us, I mean, even for me, I miss some of those easy around the rim. I think for me, I have to put them in the rim for just post-talk.
One even suggested that all Indiana Fever creators should unite like the Avengers to launch a full campaign against the officiating corruption. And they weren't joking. Social media has been flooded with side-by-side clips. Caitlin Clark getting hammered with no call, followed by opposing players getting a soft whistle for barely being touched. Fans are tagging the WNBA, ESPN, and even NBA stars, pleading for people in power to say something, to do something. Tweets and posts reading, "Free throws matter," "Caitlin deserves protection," and 100% for Caitlin are gaining momentum like wildfire. And the numbers don't lie. In the recent Liberty game alone, clips of the final no call on Clark went viral, racking up millions of views.
She goes up, she gets bodied by 2 players, and they call it a clean block. Now, you can't challenge this because there was a no call, but clearly DB thinks that there was some contact made, and there was some contact made to the body. If she got the clean block, fine, but there was contact made to her body. They called this a no call, and then they take the ball out of bounds here. This in turn went to Sabrina's foul, and then the New York Liberty are up 2 points.
One slow-motion breakdown clearly showed Natasha Cloud making multiple points of contact with Clark, grabbing her side, using two hands to hold her before the ball even touched her fingertips. No foul. Meanwhile, Sabrina Ionescu got sent to the line for barely getting brushed while leaning into a defender.
The thing that won the New York Liberty the game was the foul on Sabrina when she takes it to the basket. As you guys can see here, Lexi Hall's guarding Sabrina. She goes straight up. Sabrina dips her shoulder a little bit and then flops to the ground.
That call sealed the game for New York. It was obvious, it was avoidable, and it was infuriating. But it isn't just fans and YouTubers anymore. Even professional analysts, some of whom have been hesitant to step into the WNBA's officiating drama, are now openly calling this what it is: a credibility crisis. One analyst on a national show said the league cannot keep selling out arenas on Caitlin Clark's name while simultaneously letting her get tossed around like she doesn't matter. Another warned that the WNBA risks alienating its biggest audience yet, an audience brought in almost entirely by Clark's presence.
Clark came in cooking, guys. This is when things went downhill. So this is them calling a foul on Lexi Hall, right? This foul is determining. This foul right here was the reason they won the game. This foul right here, guys. The game was tight.
I mean, she turns the corner and gets downhill. I don't know, Lexi Hall, vertical.
There's also a growing awareness that this might not just be about missed calls. It might be about resistance. Resistance to the new face of the league. Resistance to change. Resistance to a young white woman dominating headlines in a league that has long battled for attention and equity. Let's be clear, Clark has never claimed to be above the game. She takes her hits, keeps playing, rarely shows emotion toward refs, and keeps lifting her team. But when one player becomes the focal point of both praise and punishment, it raises deeper questions. Why is Caitlin Clark held to a different standard? Why are refs swallowing whistles in her most critical moments?
Caitlin Clark, she ended the night with 10 points and 10 assists, but the biggest moment of the game last night was when she finally snapped her cold streak. I think she had missed 8 threes in the game before she finally hit one. Then going into the fourth quarter, like I mentioned, you guys, the Indiana Fever were up by 10. And this is after Caitlin Clark hit her 2 threes, snapped that long streak. There was so much energy in the arena.
Why is her name associated with controversy when all she's done is play her heart out and carry the WNBA into a national spotlight? What's happening isn't just hurting Clark, it's hurting the league. Because the WNBA is having a moment, a massive, unprecedented moment. And if that moment is overshadowed by accusations of bias, favoritism, or rigged officiating, the damage won't just be to Clark or the Fever, it will be to the entire game. Sponsors will hesitate, fans will check out. Casual viewers drawn in by Clark's magic will be turned off by a league that seems unwilling to protect its stars and uphold fair play. And that's what makes Stephanie White's comments so important. She cracked the door open, but now it's up to the fans to kick it wide open. And they're doing just that. Thousands of people are calling out the inconsistency. They're flooding comment sections, demanding transparency. They're asking for fines, reviews, disciplinary action, something. One comment on a viral video summed it up perfectly. We didn't show up for Caitlin Clark just to watch her get sabotaged. Fix it or we're gone. Even opposing players have started to acknowledge what's happening. During a post-game interview, Jonquil Jones, star for the Liberty, gave a surprising nod to Indiana fans and Clark's tenacity, saying, "They came to play. It was a fight." That's not something you say if you think your opponent was fairly treated. That's respect. That's recognition. So now all eyes are on the league. Will the WNBA step in and fix the officiating crisis? Will they address the growing sentiment that Caitlin Clark is being unfairly targeted? Or will they let this spiral into a narrative they can no longer control? Because here's the truth. Fans can see everything now.
You ready when you come in here? Indiana has such great fans and their culture. So we knew it was going to be a tough one. We knew it was going to be a fight. And for their team to be a new team, they're doing really well and they're playing really well together. So we expected it.
There are replays. There are receipts. There is undeniable proof. And the louder they get, the harder it'll be for the league to keep looking the other way. What happened in that game wasn't just about one missed call. It was a turning point. Stephanie White didn't just vent, she exposed the truth. Caitlin Clark is being targeted, and it's time the world acknowledged it. The referees may have thought they could get away with it, but they underestimated one thing: the power of the people watching. Caitlin Clark has carried this league into the spotlight with class, talent, and resilience.
The Indiana Fever, all during the offseason, that all they wanted to do was play fast, run the ball, play with pace, move the ball around. And they have been the ones in some of these games to slow the pace down. And I'm so confused by that, because when they are actually running, they're running the fast break. You have Natasha Howard on the break. You have Kelsey Mitchell on the break. You have Lexi. You have Sophie on the break. All of these players play the best when they are doing that, when they are swinging the ball around the perimeter, when they are running the high pick and roll for Aaliyah to Caitlin, but then everyone else is spread. Like, that is actually the offense that suits everyone best.
And now it's our turn to carry her. We need to speak up, stay loud, and demand better. Because if the WNBA can't protect its biggest star, it doesn't just lose Caitlin, it loses its credibility. So if you stand with Caitlin Clark, drop a 100% for Caitlin in the comments right now. Let's flood this platform with support. Let's make it impossible to ignore. Because no matter how many hits she takes, how many whistles go silent, or how many refs turn their backs, Caitlin Clark is still here, and we've got her back. This is just the beginning. Stay tuned, stay vocal, and as always, shake the haters off.